When a woman craves you in silence, the first thing to understand is that her expression won't be loud. It will be subtle, deliberate, and emotionally intelligent. One of the most revealing signs is how she offers you selective but consistent attention. And that matters more than most people realize. In a world where superficial validation is often confused with genuine interest, a woman who craves you isn't going to flood your phone with messages or make bold confessions. That's not how silent desire works. Instead, she gives you attention in carefully measured ways. Maybe it's the way she remembers to respond to your message when others go ignored. Maybe it's the way she subtly tunes in when you speak in a group setting. Her attention may not be grandiose, but it's precise. And it's not accidental. You'll notice that she doesn't engage with everyone the same way she engages with you. That's the selective part. Her laughter lands a little softer when it's something you said. She checks in on you. Maybe not daily, but always when it matters. She gives her time and emotional energy in doses, testing the emotional safety of the space, seeing how much of herself she can risk without losing dignity or power. That's the psychology of feminine restraint. It's not passivity, it's protection. Now here's the subtle truth. Consistency is the key. Anyone can flirt for a moment. But a woman who craves you in silence finds herself showing up repeatedly, mentally, emotionally, even physically in your orbit. It may be casual, it may be unspoken, but it's consistent. And in human behavior, consistency is rarely meaningless. It's usually the subconscious trying to maintain a connection that the conscious mind isn't ready to voice. What's profound about this pattern is that it reflects a deeply internal process. Desire, especially when unspoken, lives in a quiet space where logic and emotion are still negotiating. She might not want to feel that pull toward you. Maybe there are reasons she can't express it openly. But that craving sneaks out through her presence, her timing, her eyes. Because attention is energy, and energy flows where the heart leans. Too many men overlook this. They think if it's not loud, it's not real. But in truth, silent craving can be even more intense because it's controlled, it's restrained, and it's filtered through pride, fear, vulnerability. So when a woman consistently gives you quiet attention, know that it's not casual. It's intentional. She's studying the emotional terrain. And most importantly, she's hoping you see her without forcing you to look. This is the foundation of silent connection. It starts not with declarations, but with presence. So if you notice her showing up in small, deliberate ways, consistently, quietly, don't dismiss it. That might be the loudest whisper of desire you'll ever hear. Pay attention to the woman who pays attention to you, even in silence, because that's often where real attraction begins. Another sign that a woman silently craves you, one that's often missed by the untrained eye, is when she begins to mirror your energy without even realizing it. This isn't a conscious strategy. It's not something she's plotting or rehearsing. It's a psychological phenomenon rooted in something much deeper: emotional alignment. When someone starts to reflect your tone, body language, or even speech rhythm, it signals a subconscious desire to build connection. For a woman who craves you in silence, this mirroring is her way of entering into sync with you without needing to say a word. You may notice her sitting the way you sit, nodding when you speak, laughing slightly after you laugh, or even adopting phrases you use often. None of this is random. It's behavioral intimacy, and it's a sign she's tuned into your frequency. What's fascinating about this is that it doesn't begin with intention, it begins with resonance. Emotional resonance happens when someone not only hears you, but feels what you're expressing. And when a woman craves you, but doesn't yet feel safe enough to be open about it, mirroring becomes the emotional camouflage. She wants to be close, she wants to belong in your world. So she begins to embody pieces of it. And yes, this goes beyond physical imitation. She might start aligning her emotional tempo with yours. If you're calm, she'll soften her voice. If you're energized, she'll brighten up. If you're introspective, she'll lean into that silence with you. This behavioral mimicry is not manipulation, it's vulnerability in disguise. It's her way of silently asking, can we share space together? Can you feel me even if I don't say it? The truth is, we are biologically wired for connection. And mirroring is one of the first things human beings do when they're emotionally moved by someone, especially when they don't yet have the language for what they feel. For a woman who isn't ready or willing to confess her attraction, mirroring is her way of stepping closer. And it often flies under the radar. But here's where you need to be aware. This mirroring doesn't last forever. If it's not noticed, not appreciated, or worse, if it's misread, she'll withdraw it. Silence craves safety. And the moment she senses that her subtle signals are being ignored or misunderstood, she may pull back entirely, not out of pride, but out of self-preservation. So if you begin to sense that a woman is matching your energy, echoing your expressions, or subtly syncing with your flow, take it seriously. She may not be ready to say it out loud, but her body, her tone, and her timing are already in the conversation. You just need to be listening on the right frequency. In a world full of noise, it's often the quietest actions that carry the most meaning. And when her energy starts reflecting yours, don't doubt it, because that reflection might just be a mirror of her desire. One of the most overlooked behaviors of a woman who craves you in silence is her ability to create what I call intentional coincidence. She starts finding ways to be around you, but always cloaked in casualness. It's subtle, it's not forced, but if you're observant, it becomes obvious. A woman drawn to you will begin to gravitate into your space, and while she may frame it as just being around, her presence is always purposeful. She won't outright ask to spend time with you. That would make her too exposed. Instead, she'll suggest group plans where you're involved, show up where she knows you'll be, or somehow always have time when you need help with something. To the average person, it might look like friendliness, but in truth, it's strategy layered in softness. She's not pursuing you in the traditional sense. She's positioning herself where she can be seen by you without making the first move. This behavior is rooted in something deeper than mere physical attraction. It speaks to the internal conflict many women carry, the desire to connect versus the fear of being perceived as chasing. She wants to be chosen, not caught reaching. So what does she do? She creates proximity, hoping the closeness will ignite mutual recognition. It's a silent test of alignment. If I stay close enough, will you see me without me needing to expose myself? Psychologically, proximity builds comfort and familiarity. We start to feel connected to those we see regularly, even if those encounters are brief. Women understand this instinctively. A woman who craves you, but doesn't feel safe being direct, will create opportunities for proximity because she's relying on emotional repetition to grow her significance in your life. She's not trying to be everywhere, just everywhere you are. And this goes beyond physical space. She may engage more on your social media, react to your stories, comment where she usually wouldn't. She finds micro channels of interaction that keep her present in your awareness. It's her way of signaling, I'm here, without saying it aloud. But here's the catch. If you're emotionally asleep, you'll miss it. You'll chalk it up to coincidence, politeness, or friendliness. And in doing so, you may unintentionally send a message that you're not receptive. That's why this moment matters. When a woman keeps showing up in your world, physically, emotionally, digitally, she's giving you breadcrumbs, not to chase her, but to follow the energy she's trying to share. So if you find yourself constantly bumping into her, or if her presence feels too regular to be random, look deeper. This isn't just availability, it's alignment. And when alignment is intentional, it almost always points to unspoken desire. Sometimes, the most powerful move a woman can make is showing up in silence, hoping you'll recognize that her presence isn't just convenient, it's intentional. And if you're wise enough to see it, that's where the real connection begins. Another revealing sign that a woman craves you but chooses to keep it hidden is her emotional sensitivity to your presence. You might not notice it at first. It won't come with grand emotional displays or loud declarations. But when a woman feels something for you and can't or won't express it, what gives her away is how her emotional energy shifts when you're around. You'll see it in the small moments. She lights up just a little when you enter the room. Her voice softens, or she grows slightly more self-aware in your presence. She might become more animated, more cautious, or even more guarded, depending on her personality, but the shift is always there. Because desire, when unspoken, leaks through the body. It cannot be entirely concealed, no matter how composed she tries to be. This emotional attunement is often misinterpreted. Some men mistake it for nervousness or formality. Others see it as indifference if she's a bit withdrawn. But what's really happening is that she's managing internal conflict, feeling a strong pull toward you while simultaneously trying not to make it obvious. This inner tension often creates behavioral contradictions. She might be warm one day, distant the next, overly helpful in one instance, subtly detached in another. These mixed signals aren't confusion. Their containment. She's trying to control the emotional wave inside her. And this is important to understand. When a woman is emotionally reactive to you, it's rarely meaningless. Indifference doesn't generate nervous laughter. Detachment doesn't result in subtle glances when she thinks you're not looking. If your presence causes her emotional atmosphere to shift, that's not by chance. It's a sign of internal attachment, one that she hasn't yet found a safe space to voice. Psychologically, people don't react emotionally to what they don't care about. If she's affected by you, whether it's through increased energy, vulnerability, or even defensiveness, it's a sign that you matter, not because she told you, but because her energy changes when you're near. Her body responds before her words can catch up. Now here's where most men miss the opportunity. They don't know how to read this emotional language. They focus on what she says, but ignore how she feels in their presence. And when a woman is craving but hiding, that emotional shift is often the loudest truth in the room. So pay attention, not to what she tells you, but to how she responds to you. How does she behave differently when you're there? How does her mood shift, her tone change, her eyes linger or avoid? These are the signs of emotional tension rooted in silent longing. Sometimes the deepest attraction is the quietest one. And when a woman feels you so deeply that she has to manage her emotions every time you're near, understand, you've already touched her heart. The only question is whether you're present enough to notice it and courageous enough to meet her there. Because the truth is, when emotion shifts, desire speaks, even if the lips never do. Another quiet yet profound sign that a woman is secretly craving you, but refusing to admit it, is in how deeply she remembers the small things. We often think that desire is expressed through dramatic gestures or passionate words. But for many women, especially those who value their emotional privacy, desire expresses itself through the act of attentive memory. She remembers your preferences, how you take your coffee, the stories you told weeks ago, the names of your siblings, the type of music that calms you. These are not random acts of thoughtfulness. They're acts of emotional prioritization. When a woman is emotionally invested, her mind starts building a quiet archive of you. She collects the fragments, stores them, and brings them out when you least expect it. And not for validation or praise. She does it because you matter more to her than she's willing to say out loud. This kind of memory isn't casual. It's deliberate. It's the mind's way of holding on to someone she wants close, even if she's not yet ready or willing to express that openly. In psychology, we call this selective attention. We pay attention to what our emotions are invested in. So if she consistently recalls details about you, if she notices your mood shifts or anticipates your needs without you asking, she's not just being kind, she's being emotionally present. This presence is her way of staying connected to you without making herself vulnerable. She doesn't have to say, I miss you or I think about you, because the evidence is already in how deeply she listens, how consistently she shows up with things that matter to you. She turns her craving into care, her longing into awareness. And for the man who understands this subtle language, the message becomes crystal clear. But this is also where many men fall asleep. They mistake this attentiveness for generic kindness, or worse, overlook it entirely. We live in a world that praises loud expressions of love and overlooks the quiet rituals that often carry more weight. When a woman remembers your smallest details, what she's saying, without saying it, is, I see you. And more than that, you matter enough for me to carry you with me even in silence. It's a beautiful contradiction. Her craving is hidden, yet present in every thoughtful gesture. Her desire is buried, yet revealed in how deeply she knows you. She'll never call it love. She may never call it anything, but her memory does the talking for her. So if you find yourself surprised by how much she remembers, how often she shows up with exactly what you need, don't overlook it. That's not convenience. That's emotional clarity cloaked in discretion. And if you want to meet her where she is, start by honoring the effort she's making to show up without exposing herself. Because when a woman craves you in silence, it's her actions that speak. And memory, consistent, intentional, emotional memory, is her quietest confession of all. Another subtle but telling sign that a woman craves you in silence is how she reacts when other women enter your orbit. This isn't always about open jealousy. Often it's much quieter, more strategic, more internal. She notices your interactions with other women, and while she might never express it outright, her body language and energy shift in subtle but unmistakable ways. You see, desire has a natural territorial instinct. When a woman feels something for you, even if she hasn't consciously admitted it to herself yet, her emotions will flare at the thought of competition. That might look like a sudden change in tone, a slight withdrawal, or even an increase in attention from her end right after she sees you laughing with someone else. This isn't pettiness. It's not manipulation. It's biology layered with vulnerability. She wants to be close but not exposed, so she observes instead, watches closely, and adjusts her behavior to maintain proximity without confessing her feelings. Now here's what makes this dynamic so psychologically rich. The woman who's hiding her craving is almost always trying to keep her pride intact. That means she won't throw herself into obvious competition. She won't blurt out how she feels, but her protectiveness over you and over the space she holds in your life will find subtle ways to emerge. She may become more supportive, more present, or more engaged after seeing another woman engage with you. She may even become colder, not because she's uninterested, but because she's emotionally stirred and doesn't know how to manage it without giving too much away. This is the paradox of silent desire. It's not inactive, it's restrained. And the presence of a perceived rival stirs that restraint. It doesn't break it, but it cracks the surface just enough to reveal. Watch closely and you'll see the truth. The tension in her posture, the way she tunes in more attentively, the slight urgency in her words, these are her emotional alarms, ringing softly but persistently. And if you're emotionally aware, if you're attuned, you won't mistake these cues as mood swings or insecurity. You'll recognize them for what they are, signals of a heart that wants to be close but doesn't feel safe enough to say it yet. A woman who craves you in silence watches your world carefully, not because she's possessive, but because she's already emotionally involved. She just hasn't found the space to express it out loud. So the question becomes, are you emotionally intelligent enough to feel what she won't say? Because the truth is, her silence is not emptiness, it's protection. And her reaction to the presence of other women is one of the most honest windows into what she's truly feeling. If you want to understand where you stand in her heart, don't just listen to her words. Watch how she moves when she thinks someone else might take her place. In that quiet resistance, you'll find the loudest truth.